first time I tried to commit suicide, I was 8 years old, cut myself, didn't work. Guess I didn't do it right. So I just went back to the drawing board. And I'm like,
Mm.
okay, well, what can I do next? So years and years later, it took me years to plan out what I was going to do. So my original plan was to jump in front of a train track as the train, I was just going to
Mm.
lay there, let the train come,
Yeah, let the train
boom,
go
because
over.
I knew
Mm.
right, because I knew what time they came across the tracks. I timed it. So, from eight, it took me years and years to plan this, but I was suicidal all these
Mm.
years anyway.
So what
Okay,
what
so
caused you
basically,
what caused you to be suicidal? Was it depression or was it post trauma or something like that? It was just depression.
I had, like I said, I grew up fostered in different homes, about maybe four different places in my whole life when I was from, from 4 to 18 or
Mm.
17 really, because I moved out at 17. And like from there, I was still kind of angry, suicidal, chip on my shoulder, depressed, and that depression just led to years and years of planning
Mm.
suicide. So I ended up one day, I went to the train where I was gonna go, but one of my friends for some reason knew what I was up to,
Mm.
and I seen a car come right behind me. They said, "Jump in." So I jumped in or whatever. So at the same exact day, like at this exact moment, my mom calls me on the phone and says my grandma gave her the number to call, and just to let her know that, just to let me know that she wanted to talk to me. So I'm
Mm.
thinking it's something good. So she tells me, "I'm not your mom. I don't want you. Never wanted you. Don't call me your mom." She was just telling me that type of stuff.
Right.
So
Exactly what you
already,
didn't need. Yeah.
yeah. So already planning a suicide, that really kind of put
Pushed
like
you
the
over the
icing on the
edge.
cake.
Yeah. It would have done.
Exactly. That's when the edge came, and I just didn't care about anything anymore. Growing up Christian, Baptist Christian, I gave up on a lot of stuff. Like religion. So, that one day that same day that, my friend came and said, "Jump in the car." I got in the car, talking to my mom. So after my mom tells me all this stuff, "I don't want you," I said, "You know what? Like, F you, you never were." I took the phone, rolled the window, tossed it out of the passenger side because I was in the passenger side of my friend's car.
Mm-hmm.
So as my friend made her right hand turn, I opened the passenger side door and jumped out. And like boom, I remember the back of my head hitting the concrete.
Mm-hmm.
So at this point, I'm struggling to get out of my body, but I thought it was weird because it was hard to get up. And some kept saying like, "I wouldn't do that if I were you." So I didn't. I'm like, okay, well, I'm still gonna do it, Um, so as soon as I like get up, I take maybe like 3 steps, poof, midair, and I'm in like this void. And that's when I hear from God. I didn't see God slash source. I didn't see God slash source or like visually, but I felt him. And I asked. He just said he loves me. He loves everybody, and I felt so much love. It was unbelievable. So, I asked, well, how do I explain you when I go back to Earth? Like, what am I supposed to tell people? They're gonna think I'm loony or crazy or something. And he just drops down to his knee and gives me this big hug. And it was like the tightest hug I've ever got. And it felt safe. I didn't want to leave. Um, so, boom, at this point, I end up literally seeing a group of maybe 4, 5, 6 angels, like all in a circle. But for some reason, there was one on each side of me, one on my right, one on my left. I just, for some reason, realized I knew them all my life. Like they seemed familiar. And they were one on each side. They were escorting me. Like they had grabbed a hold of one arm each, and I was like, "Oh no, get me out of here, get me out of here," because religion taught me that if you kill yourself for suicide,
You go to hell.
That's what so that's the idea I had. So I'm like, "Oh no, I'm going to hell. It's over. Get me out of here. Like this is real." And they were like, "It's okay. It's all right. Everything's okay. You'll be fine. It's okay." So they're telling me it's okay, and I'm like, "Huh? Like okay, it's okay." So I wasn't scared after that. So they basically just end up telling me that they love me, our God slash source, loves us. They don't judge us. They actually even told me to look down at my body. Before I explain that, I'm explaining, I guess, maybe for people curious of how they looked. Uh, the one on my left side was kind of like creature-ish. It was weird, but he had wings. I can't really explain that one. He just looks at me and goes,
Yeah.
"Are you sure you want to go? Are you sure you want to go?" And I'm like, oh, I felt scared after that, like he was angry or something, you know. So I looked to my right one. That one was buff, like huge. Uh, he had on like blue jeans and like a red flannel shirt, and the sleeves were rolled up to his elbows. And I remember he looked at me and he was like, "You have so much to do for so many people." And I'm like, "I do." I didn't understand it, but like if these are angels and they're talking to me and I'm not burning anywhere, then I'm gonna probably
Go with
stick
it.
with these two right
Yeah.
now. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stick with these guys, you know. So then, long story short, they tell me look down on my body. So I did.
So you were out of your body at this time. So were you up? Were you up
Yeah,
here? Yeah.
Yeah, I was up, like even after, like when I met God, I was up in a void. But when I met my angels, I'm sorry, I didn't explain very well.
That's fine.
I was
That's fine.
It was like these white clouds around. If I were to step into that cloud, I would have never returned. Like that, I knew. So that's why when the angel on my left said, are you sure you want to go? Because if I would have stepped in, I wouldn't have came back. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna stay and listen to like why I'm supposed to go back to Earth. I let them kind of plead their case, you know, before I make a decision. So then when they told me to look at my body, they both looked down with me, and it was like a zoomed in camera. I looked down, here's my body laying down, but then I looked at myself and I looked at them. I'm like, wait, how am I here? But at the same time, I'm there, down all the way down there. So I'm like, wow, this stuff really happens. So as I'm looking at my body, I see the ambulance, and it was wild. And I'm just looking at my body, and they both look down. They're like, no, look again, you need to see this. This is real. So after that, I just looked at them, and that's when, you know, they reminded me, like, remember, you have so much to do for so many people. So I remember as soon as I opened my eyes in the hospital room, the nurses were like, oh my God, the miracle's up. He's woke, we got him, we thought you were gone. I guess, which technically I was.
Okay, so you go back into your body, and then what happens after that? Just so you're lying on the floor with the ambulance at the moment while you're having this experience, and then you go back in. So I'm
looking at my body?
Yeah, so you're looking at your body, and then you go back in, and then what happens? Then you wake up in the hospital.
Before that, I don't know, because I guess it was just like I was asleep. I don't remember anything. I guess I must have been asleep for like 2 days. They said I was in a coma, you know. So
right.
Yeah.
Got a question here for you. On the comments, do you get a lot of negative feedback when telling people the story?
Surprisingly, no.
No? You get a lot of acceptance. I suppose it's becoming more common these days, isn't it?
Because there's a lot of it is. There's a lot of people who are now. Okay, yeah, you could say if I were to tell a lot of religious, like church people, like people who go to church, certain religions. Oh yeah, I'm sure they'll send me straight to hell. You're like, oh, you're going to hell for doing that. Well, you've seen demons. I've heard that before. Oh, you must have seen demons. But other than that, a lot of people understand it, especially the people who have been through the same type of situations. Difference is, not many people actually kill themselves. They end up dying some other type of way. I just actually took my own life.
Yeah, and I can sympathise because I've been there as well. So do you ever get kind of, when you try and tell people, maybe the scientific community or whatever, about this, they try and explain it away, or do they just accept that? No,
I can honestly say I get mostly acceptance, mostly love, mostly people are shocked, like, oh my God, what happened?
Yeah, I think a lot of these things, especially when they go against any explanation, it makes you have to think about it because there's no other way to approach it. Okay, so another question just come in actually. Have you ever tried to have an out-of-body experience, I guess consciously, by will?
After that,
Yeah.
yes,
With any success?
I stopped it. It scared me because I remember what I did. I was outside, I remember, and I was in the same exact spot that I had my envy eat. I was just going there just to walk by the neighborhood, just to reflect, you know? And I was like, okay. So I closed my eyes, then I just let everything go. And then I just started kind of disappearing in a way. And I'm standing up, and as I start feeling lightheaded. I was like, wait. I kind of went back. I was like, no, I don't want to do this.
So did you actually successfully leave your body and then come back, or did you just get the beginning stages?
No.
Right, so yeah, you just had the stage leading up to it, because that's something I'm trying to do as well. They call it astral projection or out-of-body experience.
It worked. Oh, well, yeah, that definitely, I believe in astral projection, but at the same time, there's more I've experienced. You can do that without really leaving your body, you know? Really, you can kind of like leave up here, you can communicate with the outer world through here. You could still kind of be in that world, receive messages from them, and at the same time be in this world and realize what's going on too.
I guess, a lot of things like that, skills come with having an experience like that, where you kind of, I don't know, whether that sort of experience tunes you into a certain thing that most people don't access.
Yeah.
Or something like that, maybe. So, okay, let's look at this experience then of yours from a more kind of skeptical approach then, see what sort of things we can uncover. So first of all, so were you religious before the experience happened, or had you gone through religion and then kind of decided against it?
I grew up in a religious church, in Baptist Christian, but my thing was, I always had questions ever since I was a little kid. I was the kid that was in church asking the pastor all the questions after church. I'd be like, how come it says this and this, but then how come the Bible says you shouldn't kill people, but then we kill animals to eat meat? Like, I don't get it. Like, and I would always ask those kind of questions. And I'll say, that's weird. Or like, how come it says thou shalt not kill, but everybody back in the day said, okay, well, an eye for an eye and tooth for a tooth. I'm like, my mind, I was confused.
Yeah.
And I would always get the same. And one of my famous questions I would ask every pastor was, how do we know Christians' church is the right church? How do we know that Christian or Catholics and all these other churches aren't right? How do we know ours is the right one? And they would always tell me, don't question God.
That's the problem. See, I find that I'm always against organised religion, because to me it's all kind of a way of trying to put things into place in a certain way to get people to act in a certain way. Whereas for me, I prefer to kind of tell people, have experiences for yourself, learn things yourself, and make up your own mind. I mean, the idea of heaven and hell, for instance, is a great way in the early days to get people to not kill each other and to do good things. If you do good things, you go to heaven. If not, you spend eternity in it, and it's a very, very good idea. But nowadays, I think that religion is kind of outdated in a way, at least organised religion. But
I think it's a way to scare people, because, like I said, I was one of those who were scared. That's not any way to live. It's for someone to cling on to a religion every day to where they're scared to think. And it's like, and then they live every day in fear that, like, no matter what they do, if they do something wrong and then die, all of a sudden they're gonna burn for eternity, even if they live their life as the best person as they can be. That's like right. No way for nobody to live.
And it seems somewhat it seems somewhat daft to me as well, the concept that you can be a really, really good person, help everybody you possibly can in your life, but if you don't believe in the Saviour Jesus Christ, you're still going to hell regardless. To me, that never made sense.
Yes.
So the reason I ask anyway about your religious background is because people that approach it from a skeptical side will say, well, your brain got damaged or whatever, and you saw what you expected to see, your brain was conjuring up things due to your background. That's what they'll say. I know, because they've said the same things to me with my beliefs and things like that. So how would you kind of say that, no, this wasn't a hallucination, this was an objective thing?
Can you repeat that question?
So a lot of people that approach this from a skeptical side will say, when you jumped out of the car, you know, you hit your head or whatever, and then you hallucinated this experience based on on your upbringing and what you expected to see, as opposed to actually seeing.
Yeah, I've heard that before.
As opposed to actually seeing God and seeing angels, you only saw that because that's what you expected to see based on your upbringing, if that makes sense. So, what would you say to them?
No, but that's the question about it. I didn't expect to see any of that because I didn't. Now, mind you, it was in my mind because I didn't even believe that angels existed. So I thought that was just, I didn't know what. So definitely angels were not in my mind when I died.
Right. So, I think it's also difficult because as soon as you use that word angels, we can only go by how we interpret things. They may not have been angels, but because that's the way we interpret them, of course we're going to say we saw angels. And then people will say, yeah, because you believed in this and that and that. But no, we're just trying to get across our experiences with language we understand. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. Another question then, 2 other questions actually. Do you believe in life after death? That's the first one. I'd imagine. Yes. Okay, that was a nice easy question. I like that one. And the second one, I do not believe in God. Do you? Oh, I do not believe in God as such. Do you? I suppose the first question there is how do you define God? Because I think what she means is she doesn't believe in a God as in like a Christian God and a unique individual God.
No, I don't either. I don't either. I believe that a lot of religions make up their own God, if that makes sense. And I believe that religion is the key to confuse people. As much as it sucks, I believe that that word is the evil word. Because it confuses people, it causes wars. Like, there's people who are at war with each other because of a religion. Like, our religion's better than yours. Our religion is right, yours isn't right. Why are there so many religions in the first place? If there's one God, then it's the same God for everybody.
Okay, so these angels, you say one was kind of a creature kind of thing, so not a human entity kind of looking thing.
What do you mean?
So you said one
angel I spoke of on my left side?
I can't remember which side it was. You said one wasn't really human, it was more of a creature kind of appearance.
Yeah.
So what did he look like?
It's kind of like, it's hard to explain. Like, think of like a beetle or something like that, you know what I mean?
A beetle, yeah.
And just with wings, with real wings, like the wings were huge. I say like both of these guys, or I call them guys, but both of these angels were like about 9 feet tall, and the wings themselves were like I say about 5 feet something, maybe. Yeah,
so
about 5 feet something.
Each wing was the size of a person in itself. Did they seem to be like made of any kind of material or any physical kind of material? Yeah.
The wings were kind of, how can I explain this? The material, I can compare it to explain. You can't really explain that type of stuff.
I know the feeling. Yeah.
Let me try to compare it to something. It's not like a cloth, like a polyester. It's nothing like that. I would something like a silk type of like silk. I don't know. That's the best way I can really explain it. Like silk.
And I mean, you can only explain it the best you can, can't you? It's difficult, I know, because I've had experiences that you can't explain either.
Difficult. It's very difficult. But the color, I can relate. The color of the wings were more like a bluish lavender type color. The one on my left, his wings were kind of skinny, and then they're skinny and they point out. The one on my right, his were tall and wide, so like their wings were different.
Okay. Oh, sorry. Another question come through. Do you believe these creatures you saw live on Earth?
No,
I suppose you could. No.
no. Oh my God. I forgot to explain this when I met them. I looked at the angel and I was thinking on my right side and I said, wow, if you guys put 1 foot on the earth, then half my city will be gone. They're not allowed, they're so powerful that if even 1 foot touched earth, half your city destroyed.
How would that? How
So
would they?
they're not allowed to touch earth.
So how would that work then?
Like
How would they just?
they're made of too much light. Huh?
Right. I see. So the amount of energy they have would disrupt a big city if they were to. Right. I see. That makes sense.
Yeah. Because it's too much light.
Do you think these kind of angels are the sort of thing that other people would describe as spirit guides, or do you think they're separate entities entirely?
I call them. To be honest with you, I think you can have guardian angels and spirit guides. Like some spirit guides might just be different entities that are on the other side. They might come and go. They might come give you advice for a while, then they're gone. But guardian angels are mostly there forever, since you're born to when you go back home. I call mine my guides because I've always had trust issues with people and spirits and all that stuff. So these are like, to this day, I still talk to those angels that I've met, but I call them my guides because they guide me in life's decisions and certain things I should do or shouldn't do, or should be around this person, I shouldn't be around that person. That's why I call them guides. They guide me to do certain things.
So
Don't go this way today. Take this detour today. I have a feeling about that detour today, so go this way. Go around this today. Yeah.
And that comes through kind of feelings of intuition.
Yeah.
Right. So when you say you had the experience of God coming down and hugging you or whatever, do you think that was kind of source, or do you think that was one of these angels?
No, that was source.
That was source. So how did you perceive that to be? Because when you say he hugged you, how was...
Everybody has their own personalities. Like, you have your own personality, I have my own personality. If somebody were to tell you that they're Chris NDE, you wouldn't believe them because I'm Chris NDE. So and how do you know? Because you talked to Chris NDE, you interviewed Chris NDE before. So that's what it's like. So somebody else coming with a whole different spirit, a whole different thing, and you can tell, like, this spirit is different. This person, like, because each of the spirits have their own personality. Even my guides, they have their own personality. God has his own personality. So when someone else, if another spirit or entity tries to come talk to me, I know if they're my guides or not.
Right. Because you get that sense of their personality.
Yes.
Okay, so how did you perceive him going to his knees, as you say? If it wasn't visual, can you describe kind of how was that a feeling, or...
Sharp feeling just shooting right here to your heart chakra, just over and over and over, and the feelings were so sharp every time this entity spoke. You just know there's nothing. I've never felt anything more powerful than it now. It's so powerful you think you're gonna die and not come back. That's how powerful it is.
Right. Okay. So you right. Let's go back. So you go out of the car, and you're on the road, and you hit your head, and are you straight away still conscious and trying to get out your body, or is there a period of unconsciousness?
I don't know. I guess at this point, all I remember is I thought I was conscious. I thought I was consciously in my body when I was getting up. But little did I know, I was leaving my body, and I didn't know that. So when I actually did get up, and then I looked down and see my body, I'm thinking I'm tripping. So I started taking walks. I'm thinking I'm gonna walk home. I walked in poof midair.
Right. So essentially, you were, as soon as you hit the floor, you were out of your body, but didn't realise it. Is that the idea? Is that the idea? Am I getting it right?
I felt like I do right now. I thought I was just gonna get up
right.
and walk.
Right.
I didn't know I was out of my body yet.
And did you get up straight and walk non-physically, or did you have a struggle to get up?
That's what I was saying. As soon as I got up, I started walking with 3 steps, and poof, that's when I was midair.
Ah,
So I guess I
right,
was out of
right.
my body, and I didn't. I thought I guess my spirit was walking on the
I
earth,
see.
and poof, that's when I went up in the air. Yeah,
Right. So
that's when I
you're right.
realized.
So you got up and walked, and then suddenly you're in the air. So then you realise you were out of your body, even though you thought you were still physical at that point. I see. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And so the feeling of being out of your body, then against the feeling of being in your body, you was the same level of conscious, and everything was just as real as normal.
Right.
Right. So these angels, you were seeing them as if physically, not like when you close your eyes and imagine an angel, that sort of mind image you get. It was actual, as if looking at somebody.
Right. Exactly.
Right. And of course, I say people will say that that's just your brain playing tricks on you, but it's difficult to grasp if something seems that real.
No, I was literally looking at them.
Do you think that they may have kind of presented themselves as angels for your benefit, so that you could kind of realise what they were?
No, because I compared it from the very moment before I met them. What Supreme Source told me, they were a gift from me. Like angels are real, because like I said before that, I didn't believe in them. So after hearing that from Source, then I met them. It all kind of like made sense.
Right. Because I know there's a few people that when they have these near-death experiences, they don't experience angels as such with wings and everything. They experience kind of people in robes and bright white light beings and things like that. Do you think maybe they're kind of the same thing, or do you think they're different?
I believe it. There's so many ways that Source can speak to you. So, like, there's not so many rules, I guess, like in the spirit thing. They can come to you all types of ways.
Which I suppose is why I wonder if Source or God presented these in the form of angels so that you'd realise that they're from him, whereas other people, maybe not of a religious background, would see just spiritual entities. But they're the same thing, they just look different.
I think because I think Source, well, we're all part of Source, you know, so Source lives through us as well. So it's more like Source made us, Source created us, Source created animals, plants, all that. So Source creates angels, humans, animals. Like, nobody will call you a dog or a bird, you know, but it's kind of like that. Humans and angels, like, they're two different species of people, you know. So I don't know how to explain it.
I suppose, yeah, the difference with angels is that they're not something you'd see every day like a dog or a bird or whatever. They're on a different level, so that's why people struggle to believe that they exist, because you have to have an experience like this to perceive them.
Right.
Yeah. The question is trying to prove to them that it's not something my mind made up. It's just something that you can't experience until you do. And that's unfortunately a difficult thing to do. So, okay, so what kind of effect did you find after your near-death experience had on your life? Are you still suicidal now? Do you still have the depression? Or
no.
that... No?
No.
Did that kind of stop as soon as you had the experience?
Yeah.
So it was very transformative then. Is there any other kind of effect that you found it's had on you, positively or negatively?
Nothing negative.
Nothing negative.
It's all positive. You just always want to get better. You always think about being better. You always think about helping people. You always think about loving the best you can. You know, you start seeing certain things that make sense. You start seeing people's true intent, which is what they call discernment. You can see, you know, how somebody's inside really is, whether it's good or bad. You start seeing stuff like that. You start noticing people's pitches and the tone of their voice, if they're lying or not, or if they're happy or not. then you can start telling like their background and their origin, like what countries they're from, or it's so weird.
Hmm. I know a lot of people have said that they've had kind of developed psychic abilities after having this sort of experience,
Yeah.
telepathy and empathy, and being able to go out their body at will. Things like that. So let's think. So, is there since you had your experience, has there been any kind of doubt to its realism? In terms of, have you ever doubted that? Was it a?
Only at the very beginning, because I was still doubting. I'm like, well, how do I know you guys really exist? And how do I know I wasn't just hallucinating, stuff like that, you know? But then I think about it, and I think about what I seen, and I'm like, okay, well, I actually looked for myself to know that angels were real. Two, I actually looked down at my body twice that same moment, so I could realize it's real. So when I think about those two, I'm like, okay, well, I already have proof. So
no need to try and prove it to anyone else. Yeah. And I think, you know, something that a lot of people struggle with, again, is like the whole background. So people in India who have near-death experiences generally see, you know, the Indian gods or whatever, whereas someone from a Christian background would see Jesus, or who they interpret to be Jesus. So they'll say, well, then obviously it's just what they're expecting to see. But is it possible, do you think, that it's still the same source but projecting themselves in such a way that would be comfortable for those, as opposed to them making up the experience?
You kind of went out. Can you repeat that?
Right. Yeah. So do you think then, if say a Hindu was to have a near-death experience, God or source, whatever, would show themselves as a Hindu god for their own benefit, so they'd understand, whereas someone from a Christian perspective, God would come through looking like Jesus? Yeah. Because of course a lot of people will say, well, they're just seeing what their brain expects them to see, whereas I'm not sure about that.
Like if you call God Chuck, he might come back and say, hey, I am Chuck.
Yeah.
Yes, I am real. You know what I mean? So
yeah. I think it's difficult overall to get the idea of what God actually is, because as soon as you used to say that the word is very personified, as soon as you think of God, you think of a man with a beard who's separate. But I think it's more, I don't think of God as kind of as an entity. I think of it more as a concept, which is just nature, is probably a better word for it.
Yeah.
So this experience of love from God that you experienced, could you kind of describe that in terms of the love we feel generally? Was it, you say obviously it was more powerful?
The love, how can I explain it? Okay, how can I really explain this? Imagine you're at like the most happiest you've ever been in life, where you just that heartwarming, goofy, like
yeah, like I know what you mean. Yeah,
times 1,000 billion. Like right. That's how I can explain it.
Yeah, it's something really that can't be conceptualized.
Yeah.
So there's no point in trying to explain it, I suppose. No.
Here.
Right. So, okay, question. When you were out of your body, did you perceive yourself as having a body while you were out, or were you just energy? I know, because a lot of people, when they come out of their body, they kind of look at themselves as they currently are physically, and they look the same. Some people just describe that they're an awareness with no physical form. How would you describe your experience of being out of your body?
Light, very like light on your feet.
Lightweight.
That's how I can explain it. Like light on your feet.
Did you have any kind of vision of a body? If you were to look down at your arms, for example, what would they have looked like? What would they have looked like?
Well, like I said, I just only when I looked down and saw my own literal body on the floor.
So you were just kind of just an awareness without form.
I was so overwhelmed, I didn't pay much attention to my own
Right.
spiritual body. Yeah, that was like the absolute last thing I was worried about.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions for Chris? If not, I'll just keep asking. I guess I'm running out of questions myself. Okay, so the cloud you saw that you said was kind of the gateway, I suppose, into death. What did that cloud look like? Was that as in just as you'd see clouds on Earth, or was it in any way different?
No, kind of like something you would see on Earth. Like if you look up and you see like a cloud, it was like that. Only difference is the cloud was kind of opened up with like a bunch of light coming out of it. Like it was like an entryway. The entryway had like kind of like a hole, and then that hole just had like this beam of light just flickering. And if I were to just walk into that hole, then I would have went to the other side.
So did you get any kind of inkling what would happen if you went through that, in terms of your experience of what it'd be like to be dead?
I just knew if I would. No, I just knew if I were to go in there, I would never come back.
So you don't know if you went through that hole, then you don't know what your experience would be after that, if you'd go to heaven or to wherever. Just that the next bit would happen.
Yeah. But I wasn't worried, because when my angels asked me, do I want to go with them, I knew it was something good, so I wasn't worried.
Okay, so of course you come away...
telling me everything's going to be okay.
Okay, so of course I guess you come away from that experience not believing that when you die, that's it, the end, forever.
Yeah, right.
It's difficult to really even think of questions for something that you haven't experienced yourself, because most things can't really be explained, can they? So okay, so I think we'll wrap it up then. So if you want to find Chris NDE, I've got his YouTube page up on the screen there, No Bad Vibes 7. Go and drop him a subscribe, because I think that's where you are, isn't it? Mainly on YouTube.
I mean, just this. I only have Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Those are my 3.
Okay, so yeah, just go and find him on YouTube there, No Bad Vibes 7, Facebook, Chris NDE, and interesting story. Thanks for sharing it for us, Chris. I'll drop you this recording to use yourself. Yeah, brilliant.